Hi. So, I'm Sunset, and yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. This is my second channel. The first one's all about, music, so I kind of just sing, and that's all I do. And because I'm super lame, I made a new one, where I read. Cool, right? No, it's not. So, I'm going to attempt to put you to sleep. And it might not work. I have my big book of bedtime tales. Love this book. Okay. We're just going to go through story by story and, I don't know, probably do one once or twice a week, I guess. I don't know. Keep going. Keep going. That's the table of contents. Holy stuff. There's a lot of stories in this. I didn't realize how big this book was. Alright, let's see. The first one is Jack and the Beanstalk on page 12. There we go. Once upon a time, there lived a poor widow woman and her son Jack. He was a lazy boy, and he would not tend to crops in the field. Soon, the plants died, and then they had no food to eat. Well, Jack's a great guy. All we have left to sell is our cow, said Jack's mother, and so the next day Jack set off down the road to the market. After a while he met a peddler. "I will buy your cow," offered the peddler, "and in return I will give you these special beans." And he held out his hand. Jack inspected the 6 speckled beans. "Deal," said Jack, and he hurried home again. But when he showed his mother what he had been paid for the cow, she was very angry. She boxed his ears and threw the beans straight out the window. "You cannot live on a handful of beans," she cried, and they went to bed that night very hungry indeed. But when Jack awoke the next morning, the first thing he saw when he opened his eyes were huge green leaves dangling outside his bedroom window. "Look, Mother!" he shouted. "The beans have taken root and grown into an enormous plant!" Indeed, the beanstalk was so tall it towered high into the sky. "I'm going to climb up and see where that stalk ends," decided Jack. Soon he was high as the roof. "Hey! Come back!" called his mother, but Jack kept on climbing higher and higher, and after a while the house was just a tiny spot far below him. Up and up Jack went, and just when he felt his arms would drop when he found himself stepping off the very last branch and onto firm ground. Nearby there stood a fine castle. "Maybe I can get some food," thought the hungry boy. But when he knocked on the door he did not get a friendly welcome from the large lady who lived there. "Go away!" she cried. "My husband is a fierce giant, and he's particularly partial to small boys such as you." But Jack was so hungry that he begged to be allowed in, and at last the woman relented. Soon Jack found himself sitting at a huge kitchen table, happily nibbling a large piece of cheese. Suddenly the table shook, and a loud roar filled the air. "Fee, fi, fo, fum! I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I shall grind his bones to make my bread." "Quick, quick!" whispered the terrified woman. "You must hide, for my husband is coming." Hurriedly she bundled him into the oven, and there Jack sat, trembling like a leaf, as the enormous giant strode into the kitchen and sniffed suspiciously. "Hush, my dear, don't fret. It is only the smell of your breakfast," said his wife anxiously. "Come, sit and eat your food." Jack kept as quiet as a mouse as the giant shoveled the fried egg and bacon into his mouth. "Now bring me my hen!" shouted the ogre. The woman quickly fetched a small brown hen and placed it upon the table in front of him. "Lay!" ordered the giant. And to Jack's great astonishment the hen clucked loudly and instantly laid an egg. But this was no ordinary egg. No, this was a golden egg. The giant stroked his brown hen and smiled greedily. Then he yawned loudly, laid his great head upon his arms, and soon he was fast asleep. Lazy. Jack was out of the oven and across the floor in a moment. Pausing only to grab the hen, he raced from the kitchen and out of the huge castle door. He ran for the beanstalk as fast as his legs could carry him, and in no time at all he was back home with the hen still tucked tightly beneath his arm. "Look, Mother!" he cried. "This hen will lay as many golden eggs as we wish. We need never go hungry again." But after a time Jack grew eager for adventure and decided to climb the beanstalk once more. The next day he dressed in a disguise and was soon at the beanstalk knocking on the castle door. The giant's wife looked at him suspiciously. "I foolishly admitted a small boy like you some months ago," she said, "and the ungrateful youth made off with my husband's favorite hen. I dare not risk letting you in." But Jack would not give up, and so once again he found himself sitting at the giant's table. But what was this? "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." The ogre was coming. Quickly Jack ran and hid in the oven. He peeked out as the ogre gulped down his meal. "Bring me my money bags," cried the giant when he had finished eating. Slowly he counted pile after pile of glittering golden coins, but after a while he began to yawn, and soon he was fast asleep. Again. Jack jumped out of his hiding place, heaved a large money bag over his shoulder, and ran like the wind away from the castle. His mother was very thankful to see him safe and sound, and what fun they had that night as they counted their new riches over and over again. But after a time Jack grew restless and longed to visit the castle once more. His poor mother begged him to stay, but all in vain, for the next day Jack dressed in a different disguise and climbed the beanstalk. This time the ogre's wife was more scared than ever. "Some months ago another young fellow tricked me. He made off with my husband's money bag, and oh, the trouble that caused me! The giant has been in a foul temper ever since." But stubborn Jack would not be dissuaded, and his fresh face looked so innocent that at last the poor woman gave in. But this time when Jack heard the giant's heavy footsteps thundering down the hall, the oven was full of hot food, and the only place that he could find to hide was inside the large wash-tub, surrounded by soapy socks. The giant was indeed in a bad temper, and he snarled and sniffed as he snooped around the kitchen. Under the bubbles Jack shivered and kept as still as he could be. "What have we here?" the giant roared as he spotted the washtub. His wife wrung her hands nervously. "Why, I'm just washing your socks, dear," she said. Luckily for Jack, all giants hate water, and with a grunt the ogre turned aside and began to eat his meal. "Bring me my harp," he called to his wife as he threw down his last gnawed bone. In she hurried with a beautiful golden harp, and it played the sweetest music Jack had ever heard. Soon the ogre was fast asleep, and in a trice Jack had leapt from the tub. He snatched up the harp and ran from the room, but what a shock he got when the harp cried out, "Master! Master!" With a cry of rage the ogre awoke and stumbled after little Jack. Out of the castle and down the beanstalk the terrified boy ran, with the giant close behind him all the way. "Quick, Mother, fetch the axe!" Jack shouted as he neared the ground. He swung the huge blade high in the air, and with one mighty blow felled the plant. The giant gave a loud shriek, then tumbled from its branches and landed headfirst on the ground, stone dead. And from that time on Jack and his mother enjoyed good luck and great happiness, and Jack, having climbed the ladder of fortune and discovered that he had courage and an eager mind, was idle no more. The end. So, yeah, that was Jack and the Beanstalk. From, I'm not really sure who it's from. But, who cares? So, yeah. If you watch this, then thank you. And, if you like it, like. If you think it sucks, comment and tell me. And, if I make more videos and you find this intriguing, subscribe. Later.